remains in us, and his love is brought to perfection in us.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. The Pharisees approached Jesus and asked, "Is it lawful for a husband to divorce his wife?" They were testing him. He said to them in reply, "What did Moses command you?" They replied, "Moses permitted a husband to write a bill of divorce and dismiss her." But Jesus told them, "Because of the hardness of your hearts, he wrote you this commandment. But from the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they no longer are two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, no man, no human being must separate." In the house, the disciples again questioned Jesus about this. He said to them, "Whoever divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery against her. And if she divorces her husband and marries another, she commits adultery." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise you. Good morning. Do you know that there are only 2 states in the world that don't allow divorce? Only in the Vatican State, the Holy See, and the Philippines. So these are only 2 states, nations, that don't allow divorce. We still hold on into the concept that Jesus taught in our gospel today. Marriage is a divine institution, the oldest divine institution, the oldest institution ordained by God. Even before the coming of Judeo-Christians, even in the different cultures and pagan belief, they always have the right of marriage, ritos del matrimonio. Even in the culture which allows polygamy, they have the right, the celebration of marriage. Now, beloved friends, man and woman created by God because God doesn't want man to be alone. A woman is the flesh and the bone of the man that makes a person whole. That's why when you ask, where is the woman coming from? The woman did not come from the hands of a man to be slapped upon. She didn't come from the feet of the man to trample upon. Nor she came from the head of a man to be controlled and dictated. She came from the rib of a man closer to the heart, to be taken care of, to be loved, in order for a person to become whole and perfect. We need a woman in order to perfect us. Now, beloved friends, why is it that divorce happens? Maybe because most of the people who get married only depends on what they feel. You fall in love with somebody, not thinking that feelings fades in the long run. What remains is the commitment that you have given to the person when you, in front of the altar, you said, yes, I do. When you say, yes, I do, tell yourself, be a man. Stand on it until the end. So what's the difference between divorce and annulment? Well, divorce is there was a marriage happen, and then later on, the feeling fades, or I don't like her anymore because she's getting too big. Or I don't like her anymore because she's getting old. So I have to divorce her. Without any reason, valid reason to divorce her. No. You cannot do that. Why? Because if the person has a problem, for example, when you get married and the marriage was valid, okay, and then in the long run, after 10 years, here comes problems. The man became addicted to drugs or became unfaithful, and then you decide to divorce. You go to the municipio, the city hall, and file your divorce. I don't like him anymore. He's the man that I married, and that's the divorce. But annulment is that, okay, at the beginning, it seems valid. And later on, you found out that you were fooled. Because this man was already a drug addict, for example, before the marriage happened. Before the marriage happened, and he did not divulge it to you, to the wife. And now you can see that after the marriage, here comes the problem. Drug addictions, for example. That's an example. Here comes the problem. Now, you try to help him to resolve his problem because that's an illness. Bring him to the hospital, bring him to the therapist. But if you cannot take it anymore, you have to file for annulment. And then in that sense, you have to go back before the marriage happened. That if this illness existed before the marriage, then the marriage must be annulled because you were fooled. No? So that made the man become mentally incapacity to pursue the marriage. So to make it null and void, because there was already a problem existed before the marriage happened. But divorce is there was no problem. And you have the marriage, and then you end up, I don't like you anymore. So that's the difference. Now, that's why we have to find out the cause of his mental or mental incapacity. So the same thing. For example, if the person is unfaithful to you, you have to find out. This is an illness. Sexual addiction is an illness, just like drug addiction or behavioral addiction. This is a behavioral addiction. Substance addictions, behavioral addictions. So you have to find out why it happens to you. That you cannot just settle in one woman or one man. So there is an addiction there. It's an illness that needs to be treated in order to save the marriage. So beloved friends, marriage is not just a kind of a toy that if you don't like, you just throw it out. You have to think, feel, pray before you commit yourselves forever. Before you say, yes, I do. There was a story. Because love is so sweet. It's a source of life. As we celebrate the month of life, it's a source of life. That's why we treasure marriage. It's ordained by God that a man and a woman become one flesh. And that one flesh will become a reality when you have your son. That son of yours represents the two of you, that one body of your son. If a husband and wife break up, that one body of your son will also break. Because that son or daughter of yours, you are there in his or her life. Usually when I celebrate the wedding, I always inspire. Like there were two young people came to the priest and wanted the priest to solemnize their wedding. And the priest said, okay, prepare everything and undergo all these things, and then I will marry you. I will solemnize your wedding. And the man said, Father, we are young and we belong to the modern generation. We might utter some words which are foreign to your hearing. And the priest said, don't worry about it. It's okay. I'm also a modern priest. Now, when the wedding came and the celebration, the priest asked the man, let's call him Cordapio. Cordapio, do you accept Tampulana as your wife? Cordapio said, yes, I do. Tampulana, do you accept Cordapio as your lawful husband? Yes, I do. And after the exchange of consent, since they are young and modern, they have to say something beautiful to each other. The man said, Tampulana, you are the cherry of my life. And then Tampulana said, Cordapio, you are the apple of my life. Upon hearing this, the modern priest declared in a loud voice, now I pronounce you fruit salad. So sweet. So sweet. Not beloved, but too much sweetness will develop diabetes, no? So you have to think. Go back to the basic. If there is problem, go back. Like Jesus Christ, when he was asked, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife? Jesus Christ went back to the basic, the original thing. At the beginning, God created male and female. A man shall leave his mother or father and go to his wife and live together. Go back to the basic. If there is problem in your own family, go back to the basic. The moment that you say, yes, I do, you are the cherry of my life. You're the apple of my eyes. Go back to it. Go back to the moment where you share the beauty and the sweetness together. The problem is, we forget all those things. You forget all those sweetness when you were together. You always remember those painful past that you experienced along the way. What about those beautiful moments that you went together outside, eat tacos together? Sweetheart, you have your tacos. I don't like tacos. I want this enchilada. So, go back to that moment when there is problem. Sit down. Embrace each other. Cry each other. And have the courage to say, I'm sorry. And have that openness of your heart to say, yes, I forgive you. Because I love you. God bless you.